The Life of Bartholomew Kuma. Hello One Piece enthusiasts, I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about Kuma, a man born to be a slave, named as the Tyrant King who tries to be the warrior of liberation. So, it all begins with Kuma's backstory of him being a slave, how him being a buccaneer resulted in the world government hunting him down for his lineage factor. And of course, Kuma wanted to be saved from that slavery, believed in sun god Nika. And turns out, growing up, he wanted to be exactly like him. He wanted to be like someone who needed that thing to save him, but instead he became that for everyone else but himself. So before we move on, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Now that you have, let's begin. Kuma being born a slave, somehow escaping with the pawpaw fruit that coincidentally allows him to guarantee freedom for some people, to guarantee freedom for a lot of people in his life. And he does exactly that. He gets exactly that, and he does everything for everybody else. And he ends up becoming a kind-hearted person the way Nika was. To be completely honest, Joy Boy, Nika, or Luffy for that matter, yes, he has the power of freedom, has the power of liberation. The whole Luffy's entire devil fruit is based upon the fact that it is restricted only by Luffy's limit to imagination, which in reality is his freedom to think. Kuma gets some sort of that same power, but the difference between Joy Boy and Kuma is that Luffy thinks for himself, Kuma doesn't. Kuma thinks for others. Of course, that isn't wrong per se, because look, I think I'm that kind of a person, not to brag or anything, but this has sort of been my life. I want to help as much people as I can because there was very few people around to help me, and those who did, I wanted to return the favor. I know what happens when someone helps me, and I know I could do the same for somebody else. That's the same for Kuma. Kuma wanted to be saved. He couldn't be saved. Technically he wasn't saved at all. He just ended up going back to the world government. And his thoughts on all of this is that I wish somebody could help me, but since there's no one there for me, I would be there for everybody else. That's his entire perspective on how he keeps taking other people's pain and suffering for himself, trying to liberate others, but at the end of the day, minimizing his own freedom, minimizing his own liberation capabilities, or whatever you want to say. So it all starts with, of course, yeah, Kuma does end up, the one selfish thing he does do, in fact, within the story, is saving himself from God Valley. He saved 100+ people from God Valley from slaughtering, and he saves himself. Props to you, Kuma. The only time Kuma's actually done something for himself, selfishly. And that's it. That's the only time he does it. Every time else, he keeps thinking about other people. He takes in the sufferings of the old people of the Goa Kingdom. Not the Goa Kingdom, sorry. I forget the name. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. But he takes in the pain of the old people, but he forgets, and he forgets about himself. He forgets about healing himself, but gladly Ginny was there to help him out, trying to recover. Ginny was there for him. And when it came to Ginny, of course, this is my main focal point. When it came to Ginny, Ginny wanted to live with Kuma. She wanted to live a life filled with the happiness that Kuma brought to her. They were madly in love. Kuma didn't do it because, of course, he thought, I need to save her before myself. Although I love her, I want to save her from the same pain my parents suffered because of my dad's race. And just because of that possibility, Kuma ended up not staying with Ginny. You see where that took him? Yes, at the end of the day, you did grant Ginny the freedom of not being captured by the world government because of your lineage, which is totally unfair, but you granted her the liability of not being with you. And as the world would do, because you didn't grant her the freedom she wanted, the world took away her freedom anyways. She got captured by the celestial dragons, made to be a wife, somehow gave birth to a child who was born with a disease that is incurable, that takes her life away. You don't end up seeing her, because of course KUMA didn't deserve to see her because of what he did. Yes, it might seem selfless on the surface to KUMA, but it sounds very selfish considering Ginny wanted something else. Ginny wanted something else for her freedom, and KUMA granted her something different. What ends up happening, KUMA ends up paying the price by not being able to say goodbye to Ginny, not being able to hear her last words, but somehow try to give that maybe a second chance. Give KUMA back the chance of giving freedom to Bonnie, so that she could live a life that her mother wanted to live. But ultimately, we know what ends up happening. Bonnie ends up free, still ends up suffering because KUMA got captured by the world government, or somehow turned into a machine of the world government. Bonnie still tries to save him, but KUMA at the end of the day is taken as a slave. Once again, KUMA did something wrong down the line that made him lose his freedom as well as Bonnie's. And so now as it happens, yeah, I think it's very fitting. People have been saying how KUMA maybe at the end of Egghead Island will be saved, might be saved by Luffy, but I believe he doesn't deserve it the same way he didn't deserve Ginny's love, the same way he didn't deserve to see Ginny for one last time, didn't deserve to hear her words. He got the second chance, he drew it, he busted it again. He somehow busted it again. We're going to see it in the flashback. How KUMA ends up becoming the Tyrant King of the Sorbet Kingdom. How Bonnie was targeted again by the world government. How she eventually does get cured, but KUMA sacrifices himself for that. And so I don't believe that KUMA busted the second chance, and I don't believe that KUMA deserves another one as well. However, Bonnie does. Considering the will of people, how the will of people, the will of the people that died, that passed away, gets carried on by others. The torch carried on by others is a huge theme in the story. Bonnie will carry on the will of both KUMA and Ginny together and be saved by Luffy. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, although as much as I want to say that KUMA will not be saved, I still think KUMA has to be saved, because in order for Bonnie to get his in order for Bonnie to get her freedom, if you think about it in a non-selfless way, she deserves to have KUMA as a kind father, the way he was before taken in by the world government. And KUMA, of course, just because fate would have it, he is not the warrior of liberation, he ends up getting captured by the same thing he tried to escape from time and time again. Everyone that is connected with his life, for his entirety of his life, he wanted to get away from the world government, the ones that wanted to enslave him. But what ends up happening is he ends up getting captured by them again and again and again, because he is not the warrior of liberation. He is trying to become something that he's not, which is also a prevalent thing in the story. And so KUMA is the ultimate definition of, if you want to be something you're not, if you think you're trying to be selfless, you're actually harming a lot of other people around you. I think that's the moral of the story. I think maybe KUMA does deserve a chance, another chance to get him free, to actually get what he always wanted, which is to be saved by Nika, and to see the world where the world government does not exist, where his race doesn't suffer the brutality that it always has. That's it for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about KUMA's life. Let me know what you guys think what KUMA deserves at the end of Egghead Island. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and peace.